Drowning World is a project which I've been developing over the last 8 years. It's my attempt to address the issue of climate change as a photographer and artist. It's, I guess, quite a peculiar project. I have been traveling the world over these years trying to get to major floods around the world. And when I get to floods, my main objective is to take photographs, to do portraits of flood victims in the context of the flood, ideally inside or in front of their homes. And I've found that so many of the people I approach are really keen to be photographed by me. It's something they sort of appreciate. I wouldn't say enjoy, but they really have a very strong connection with me in the camera. The video portraits I do of the people are quite different to conventional portraits because people are still and gazing at the camera, but the water and things are moving around them. And also, I do a lot of shots from boats, moving images from boats. I think in these pieces, the camera is always either very still or very free and moving. Within the photographic side of the project, there, I suppose, what I would call three different narratives. And the first narrative is my Submerged Portraits. And that is a series of images of people directly focused on the camera, with a very particular kind of look in their eyes and their faces. People have called it the accusing stare, and it's a sense of kind of climate change victims gazing out of the calamity at the rest of the world. And maybe on some level, the implication for me is, your lifestyle in the West is responsible partly for this. So the second narrative is, I suppose, what I call water lines. And I have a lot of images with different levels of abstraction. Some are very abstract, some are more concrete. Sometimes it's just a line of water on the wall. Sometimes it's just a mark on a wall. A lot of pictures of interiors with water high, so curtains dangling and reflected in the water. And a whole lot of images where you kind of see the imprint left behind by the water on the wall. And then another sort of narrative sequence in the project is something which I call watermarks. It's a very different side of the project, and it's something that's, I suppose, which is both very abstract but also very sad and very political, is at a number of the floods I visited, I've collected flood damage snapshots. These are personal snapshots which have got caught up in floodwaters. When I talk to people about climate change and the extent to which they see climate change as a cause of what they're experiencing, frequently it's not something they have thought about or considered at all. It obviously varies from country to country, and in some of the more Western countries, it is something which people think about, particularly when I was working in the UK. People were talking about climate change in that context. I would hope that the sort of people with power in the world might think about the future of all our children, because certainly, I'm a father, I've got 2 boys, and I think, in terms of climate change, for most of the rest of my life, I'll probably be okay, but I'm really worried about the world they'll be living in 30 years' time, and their children even more. And I think the scary thing is if global temperatures go up more than 2 degrees, which could happen, we're just going to be in territory which we won't know. No one knows what's going to happen. It's quite likely that we'll be horribly surprised by the outcomes. There's just no precedent for that.